You've probably seen at least one of his highlights this season, and you're probably aware of his NBA background. Although his name is quite familiar, most people have never given him any thought. With performances that demand respect, Gary Payton II has worked his way onto the court and to the hearts of Dub Nation. But now he's breaking on the court, and he's breaking in a big way. Here are 10 things you don't know about Gary Payton II. 10. Initially, Payton II was unmotivated to play basketball. In an interview, Payton II said, "When your dad is a Hall of Famer, you know they expect you to be great instantly. Just pick up those genes and follow behind that." But it's much easier said than done. Gary Payton arrived at Spring Valley High School in Las Vegas one evening in 2010, hoping to be wowed by his son's basketball abilities. Payton II was a junior who had recently become taller than his Hall of Fame father thanks to a recent growth spurt. Payton could see the rough outline of a basketball player in his son, with long arms and springs in his legs. But there was something lacking. Payton II lacked the tiger's eye. He lacked the drive to succeed. He lacked the desire to succeed. As a result, when the senior Payton saw his son's primary shortcoming, he had no qualms about scolding him. Keep in mind that it was Payton who attacked Michael Jordan, the legend. As a result, you can only imagine the slurs hurled at Payton II. Papa Payton was driven nuts by his son's lackadaisical, almost apathetic approach to the game. So Payton simply stood up and walked out of the stadium. Number 9. Payton was a late bloomer. Payton is ecstatic that he broke through so soon after turning 30. Executives cease recognizing you as a prospect at a certain age, but it does happen. They definitely look for younger guys to breed and make them their future, he said. But if you think about it, I didn't really start playing basketball until my senior year of high school, so I don't really have that much wear and tear on me. I'm pretty athletic still, I can still move pretty quick, he added. Payton believes his late start has something to do with why he's still here despite so much rejection. I discovered I was a late bloomer when I was young, he explained. Gains will come. Payton said, when his younger brother Julian began attending the gym with Daryl Jordan, Payton remained at home, playing video games. The phrase late bloomer isn't sufficient to Jordan, who trained and mentored Payton with a hard-to-guard AAU club. He explained it was more of a confidence issue. Payton had huge, strong hands and a lengthy wingspan, which he used to great effect on defense, along with a competitive streak cultivated at family game evenings. Imagine 50 push-ups if you lose a round of Golden Tea. He had a knack for finding the ball and being in the right position at the right time. What he lacked was a sense of self. Number 8. He's very athletic. Gary Payton II is having his greatest season with the Golden State Warriors, and many are asking, where did that athleticism come from? His father, too, had the same question. Gary Payton II has spent 6 seasons in the NBA so far. Don't worry if you haven't heard of him because he was acquired by the Golden State Warriors this season and has finally broken through, averaging nearly double his career average of 6.3 points per game. The 28-year-old just had back-to-back double-figure scoring games, scoring 14 against the Charlotte Hornets, 17 against the New Orleans Pelicans, and 10 against the Houston Rockets. Fans and critics alike are watching his every move after such a strong start to the season. Throughout the season, JP2 has been observed dunking on opponents. And keep in mind how high his expectations are. He's known for going head-to-head with NBA legends like Air Jordan. Number 7. He has the same position as his father. JP2 is a 6'4" point guard with a left-handed shooting style. In total, he has appeared in 29 NBA games with the Milwaukee Bucks and the Los Angeles Lakers. Payton II spent the 2018-19 training camp with the Portland Trail Blazers before being released in October. Since then, he has spent 13 games with the Rio Grande Valley Vipers of the G League, averaging 19.2 points, 8.3 rebounds, 6.5 assists, and 3.4 steals. Number 6. Followed his father's footsteps. Many headlines in 2015 read Payton II creating new family legacy at Oregon State. Well, history repeated itself because JP2 played college ball at Oregon State, much like his father. Payton II became the first player in Pac-12 history to earn Defensive Player of the Year twice with the Beavers. JP2 also rated 3rd in the country with 3.0 thefts per game, owing to his ability to play the passing lanes and anticipate events before they occur. Number 5. The glove and the mitten. Payton II is the son of NBA Hall of Famer Gary Payton Sr., as previously stated. However, in order to grasp JP2's potential, it's vital to emphasize his father's achievements. His father was a member of 9 All-Star teams and 9 All-NBA teams, as well as winning a championship with the Heat in 2006. He is widely regarded as one of the best defensive players of all time. In the 1990s, Payton was a star for the Seattle Supersonics. His father also has one of the most memorable NBA nicknames, because Gary Payton Sr. was known as the Glove. Payton II is sometimes referred to as the Mitten, according to Basketball Reference. Number 4, like mother, like son. Without a question, growing up with the same name as his famous father was difficult enough for Gary Payton II. But playing a game he wasn't sure he liked under the merciless tutelage of a legend just added to the challenge. Payton II, on the other hand, has never been wired in the same way as his father. While Gary Payton's boisterous manner became connected with his great talent, his younger brother Gary Payton had a more Monique-like demeanor. In fact, Monique was quoted as saying, unlike his father, JP2 has always been gently spoken. He's also recognized for being calm and considerate, as well as exceedingly pleasant and well-liked by everyone he encounters. That's great for doing errands and socializing on a daily basis. On the other hand, a fantastic personality will get you nowhere on the court. It also didn't help that JP2's father was a well-known NBA legend. He wasn't going to win any games with nepotism. It's simply life. There are lessons you learn, JP2 explained, and I don't harbor any grudges against my father. As a result, JP2 ultimately rose to the occasion, allowing the tough love that nearly shattered him to motivate him to work harder and be meaner on the court. That shy high schooler who used to feel burdened by his father's legacy is now a tough opponent in the league. Number 3, the Thief. JP2's early nickname was the Thief because he was so proficient at grabbing the ball from his opponents. His adaptability, on the other hand, was much more astonishing. He was a true stat sheet filler who propelled Oregon State to a 16-7 record under first-year coach Wayne Tinkle as a 6'4", 180-pound junior college transfer. He led Oregon State in points with an average of 12.4 per game and 8 rebounds, and he ranks second in assists with 3 per game and an average of 1.1 blocks. Number 2, the several Gary Payton. Payton goes by Payton II, not by Payton Jr. That's because his half-brother is Gary Payton Jr. Payton Sr. named 2 of his sons after himself. There's also a third Payton brother named Julian. Gary Payton had 3 children with Monique James, 2 sons, Gary II and Julian, and a daughter, Raquel. Monique and he eventually split up. Afterwards, Gary Payton Sr. had another son, Gary Jr., with a different woman. Gary Payton Sr. was sometimes referred to as basketball's version of George Foreman for naming his sons after himself. Number 1, Gary Payton was verbally abused by his dad. Gary Payton used trash talking as motivation and tough love to help his son become a college basketball star. Gary Payton was born in Oakland, California, with a strict father who was lovingly known as Mr. Mean. Gary followed in the footsteps of his father, Al, who tried everything in his ability to ensure Gary stayed on the straight and narrow, instead of becoming another statistic embroiled in drugs and crime. I probably knew every drug dealer in Oakland, Payton once told the Seattle Times. Despite the fact that Gary Payton II did not grow up in a gang-infested neighborhood, he was subjected to heartbreaking verbal abuse, and his drill sergeant was one of the best in the NBA. When his father was in his prime, Payton II was raised in mansions with fancy automobiles and constant concentrated spotlight following him even as a child when he acted as a ball boy at NBA arenas. Now that's a wrap. What are your thoughts about these facts about Gary Payton? Let us know in the comment section below. We hope you guys liked the video. Stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.